Welcome. We are here at 1 Million Cups. Thanks for turning up today, and we're really glad to see you. Please grab a coffee or a tea or other beverage, and while you're doing that, settling in, you can like us on our various social media channels. We now have an awesome link tree that you can go to do all of the necessary things that you want to get involved with and into with 1 Million Cups, including your link for here, different socials and how to connect with us and how to keep up to speed with what we're doing here, and even if you want to present. So thanks, Katie, for that awesome addition to our slide deck. What are we about? So everybody may or may not have been around 1 Million Cups before, but we are all about sharing ideas and offering help to people, asking for help from this community, making this community even stronger by turning up for each other in different ways, whether it's turning up to present here and give feedback, following up afterwards, connecting resources. Anything is possible at 1 Million Cups. And you are the people who make this happen by coming every week, to share in entrepreneurial stories and success. So what makes us different, and this is great to tell your friends who ask about what you do, that awesome thing you do every Wednesday morning. We're not a networking event. We take the cringe out of that by focusing on presentations and not pitching people. And so it's more about sharing your story, and through sharing a story, you connect with the people in the group, and it's more about not about getting your card to the most people, but it's about sharing what your journey is and seeing that in other people's journeys. This is created by the community for the community. It is a not-for-profit, so none of this is paid for. People do this volunteer out of the excitement and love they have for the entrepreneurial story and for supporting others. And in order to do that, we try constantly to be better at being radically and intentionally inclusive. And we continue to strive to improve that as much as we can. The idea being that we want anybody and everybody who, at whatever stage they're at their entrepreneurial journey, to be able to access this entrepreneurial resource. And this resource, 1 Million Cups, is a nationwide endeavor. There are 168 communities, maybe more now, maybe less, who knows with COVID, but I think a lot of people are jumping back up again into the 1 Million Cups entrepreneurial world. There are thousands of people every week come and join us, and many, many volunteers that make this happen. And as some move from virtual back to in the physical space, even more people are able to attend, which is exciting. So why this whole nation of 1 Million Cups across the United States exists is to bring education, the presentations and connections in one space to anybody who wants it. And it's something that was missing in the networking experiences and other entrepreneurial offerings that were out there for in different communities around the state. Now, this is where we usually or used to do the in-person events. I've only ever been virtual, which is a kind of funny fact. But so I've never known us to be an in-person experience, and would love to get back to that. There's nothing quite like chatting with people one-on-one. Oops, sorry. And but the beautiful thing is that over that time, and we've continued on since, and we have not missed one single, well, we've only technically missed one, but that technically happened for some of us. One event every week. We continue to bring presenters together with the entrepreneurial community. And this is also, this is made possible by our sponsors as well. We have the McLaughlin Method, A Small Studio, and Human Up, all helping us to get our marketing out there, helping us to keep organized and internally, and keeping our meetup group going. And we are always trying to find new ways to make this more accessible and give more resources to our community. And those people who run this and can make it happen every week, you see here in your picture, and you'll see us all scattered in your view. We love getting new organizers. We really passionate about this community and want to keep it going. And so if you are interested in organizing, you can always jump over and do what you can. The more the merrier, more hands on deck, the easier it is, so that we can all continue to do our businesses as well as keep this beautiful supportive space available to our Seattle community. So today we will and have had coffee, as is Tram's preferred drink of the morning. Mine is tea. And some conversation. Then we'll, in a moment, we're going to hear from Tram from Aboutcome for 6 minutes, and then we'll have 20 minutes to ask questions, share our knowledge, expertise, ideas, and give support. And then afterwards, we will also be having some breakout rooms. This is how we keep the best version we can do of connecting with each other and keeping the conversation going after the official time. And you're able to leave whenever you want, but we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get there. But you can stick around if you like. And just a reminder about how to be a supportive listener during a presentation. It can get hard online, just distractions and other tabs, 50 tabs, in my case, can get in the way of our ability to focus, but we can definitely do that for Tram today, and think about things that like stand out for you, and things that you'd like to learn more about this business, and anywhere you feel like you could share some of your own expertise, and think in your mind about like maybe how to bring out something that you would like to know, or you think that person should know, using some what questions. But we are all, I feel, in this moment pretty ready to go and grounded. So I am going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to ask Tram if she can share a screen. Welcome her to the virtual stage with a little clap, and we are excited to hear about Aboutcome.
Thank you, Tessa. And thank you to all of you for having me here. I am going to talk about Aboutcome. I'm going to look for the presentation and share the screen with you. So Aboutcome, as you can hear, it's really about treatment outcomes that we're interested in, right? Mental health. When people see a therapist, they don't know how they're doing. Are they on track? Are they making progress? It's a very mysterious process for the client and sometimes for the therapist as well. When do we know that it's time to terminate? When do we know that the clients need a greater level of care? And so we want to measure how people are doing. So let me start by talking about the issues that we are trying to solve. We are trying to solve major societal problems, the way that we see them. So we know that more than 1/5 nowadays is closer to 40% of American adults have a mental illness. We also know that mental health and substance abuse cost the economy billions of dollars every year. And we also know from studies that when clients engage in therapy, when they reach the 8th session, more than half of them will see some improvements, significant clinical improvements, if they stick with the therapist and engage in therapy. The problem is, however, is that the majority of them would leave treatment before the 8th session because they're not getting what they are looking for. They don't know what to expect. So I've spoken to many clients to understand why they drop out prematurely. They have stated that the most important reason for dropping out early pertains to the relationship with the therapist. They don't feel understood by the therapist. They don't feel there's a good fit between them and their therapist. The other reason for dropping out is a lack of motivation. They don't have any transparency. They don't know how they're supposed to be feeling every time. Are they supposed to feel better or worse after a session? And how are they actually doing, right? If you look week by week. So they need some kind of a measurement to know that they're doing the right thing or they work with the right therapist. The last factor that also cause dropout include environmental cost, like it costs money to see a therapist. It takes time to go there, right, to the therapist's office. Virtual, of course, helps. Virtual therapy has really resolved that problem. And relatedly, it's about logistics. Can I find someone in my area who is licensed in my state? I don't want to travel to see someone for 2 hours. So those are the reasons why people may drop out prematurely. And when they do that, they're not getting the help that they need. They're not seeing the outcomes that they're hoping to see. So Aboutcome is really trying to offer clients a way to be matched with the right therapist. We use an algorithm to match the two for an optimal fit. And we also will provide the client some information so that they can make informed decisions for themselves and for the family by helping them track progress. And when they do that, having a therapist they get along with and can see how they're doing, they will achieve measurable outcomes and can go back to work and can nurture the relationships that are important to them. So we are going to offer 3 things specifically, right? Using algorithm to match therapist and client. We also will provide them a portal that will allow them to access important information about the health and also book instantly with the therapist so they know that help is on the way. They feel a sense of hope and relief. The business model is going to be the therapist paying a membership fee to be listed, and the client can then get help for free. They don't need to pay because they're already suffering. So we wanted to give them a chance to do this without paying. So the therapist is going to finance this model. And there are 3 different tiers, right? Standard just referral. Premium would be giving them access to a network of therapists where they can get maybe some other trainings. And then elite is when they can get help to do billings and other legal services. Go-to-market strategy is going to be for us focusing on early adopters, and those could be students who know they have a problem, especially people in the mental health field like myself. We know we have a problem like everybody else. We are aware of our issues and we're eager to seek a solution. And people like ourselves will also be eager to refer friends and family to a therapist that we know are competent and effective. So we'll be eager to refer people. So this will be our target group to begin with. Competitors, we see ourselves being up in this corner, upper right corner, because we're going to match people using a 3-level matching. And then we also are going to offer patient information about the health, something that other brands are not doing currently. So we see ourselves being uniquely positioned up there. The addressable market potential would be around 9 billion by 2026. And we are trying to get some shares there. It's very ambitious, and we're just more interested in the market potential at this moment. And we're going to test out our model and see how people resonate with our model. So we're not too concerned about the numbers at this point. And I think that's it for now. I'm going to stop sharing, and I just have a question I'd like to discuss with you in this forum. I guess my question is, I'm thinking about whether we should focus on end consumers like clients, which is going to take us some time and also takes a lot of money to recruit clients, or should we go with employers who has already some mass, right? If you have an employer who has a group of people who need mental health, maybe that's a better way for us to go, get some critical mass early on. The issue is that there are brands doing that already. We have very strong unicorn out there doing exactly that. So that's more the challenge. And should we go maybe after smaller companies, medium-sized companies to be more competitive? So I just want to maybe have the discussion with you, either consumer or employer. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well done on that. Absolutely perfect timing. 6 minutes to the almost second. Very, very impressive. And thank you for bringing that specific question for us. It definitely helps us to direct the conversation. So I'll just share my screen again for a hot second, I think. Let me check. Oh, no, of course, it's all the way over there. Okay, there we go. Share screen, that one. So we're just going to head to the question and answer part of this, just in case anybody is wondering. Raise your hand and I will call up on you to do it. Raise your hand is now in the responses tab, or the reactions tab now, reactions. And just think when you're responding as well, like we like to remind people that often the business is their business, and it's good to offer suggestions and open-ended questions and not shoulds, as just as a friendly reminder. And if you are able to make your question a one breath question, that would be great. I feel with the question that Tram's actually put to us, it might be more a little bit of sharing our knowledge, so that's okay today. But yeah, let's try and get as many people and questions out for Tram as we can. So I will stop sharing there, and we have a few questions already lined up. Let me look at my participants so I get them in the right order. Okay, let's start with Katie.
All right. Well, Tram, thanks so much for sharing your story and for joining us today. I love what you're trying to do. I think it's a really interesting model, especially with this whole algorithm piece. And, you know, I hadn't thought about your question until I already had other ideas of questions, which might inform part of the discussion about like which direction to go. But I guess maybe my question, first of all, would be on kind of like the business model. It sounded like the only, and this is what I heard, right? Might not be real, but what I heard sounded like the only revenue stream that you have would be from the therapists. Is that correct? Or is that, did I miss something?
It's correct, Katie. At this moment, we're going to focus on the therapist paying a membership fee, but maybe later on, once we have more analytics, we can share them with the patient, and then they can maybe pay for some added services. We're going to collect some data using the outcome measures, and then we're going to tell them this is how you're doing, this one we recommend down the line.
Gotcha. Cool. And would it be free to the patients for the whole time of working with the therapist, or is it just for the like is Aboutcome like the Talkspace BetterHelp kind of platform where I stay on platform to work with that therapist? Yeah. Or is it really just marketing for the therapists and then I end up billing them for my insurance?
So we are going to provide a virtual platform as well. If client wants to see a therapist virtually, they can use our platform for that. And if they want to see a therapist in their office, they can just go there and the therapist will bill them directly.
Got it. Cool. Thank you.
Great, thank you for that. And just to check, Tram, I wrote your question in the chat, and I just hope I got it right. That one of the things is that one of the things you wanted to know and wanted people's feedback on is if Aboutcome should focus on the end consumer, being like the actual client or patient, or on employers who might have a group of people that they could put this to. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, great. Just wanted to check I got the right question and framed it correctly. Okay, next is Leif.
Hi, Tram. First, I got to give you what came to mind when you asked that question for me, and then maybe I'll sneak a question. For me, if I was in your position, I would see that like getting group health plans onto my platform would just be a very big win to get a large subset of people. I mean, large could be even 100 to start, right? Because you have a pretty easy pitch to these employers saying, all right, we could reduce your annual health costs, et cetera, because these virtual visits are much cheaper billing rates. And it's more convenient because you can just say like, all right, everybody download this app or go to this website. The education for their employees can be very easy for that type of thing. It's like, hey, you got questions about mental health? Just start here. I know that a competitor sort of is 98.6 who does that, but for like more physical problems. They do some mental health too, but you can like kind of text in and be like, I have this problem, they'll match you with someone, and then it just goes from there. It's very modern. So I feel like you'd be able to gather a lot more people very quickly with the employer-based thing, because the other alternative is like, how do you find end consumers in that space? Like that's a very challenging space and a slow referral to, I imagine. Whereas like if one employee in a company is like, hey, I tried this and it was great, and they tell their coworker, they're like, oh, just use that app. We have that service, right? As employees here, you might get a lot out of that.
Okay.
And I'll say my question for the end of the line. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Thanks, Leif. And next up is Kareem.
Thank you very much, Tram. Patient therapist matching is a problem. Like it's a big problem. And thank you for the question. It helps align kind of our thinking. My piece is this: I think that the answer to your question is in some degree driven by how you wish to make money. By that I mean this: if you're going to charge therapists, right, as the therapist will be the paying customers, then what would they be interested in? They would be interested in lead generation, effectively, right? And so that would be helping therapists find these clients, right? Which is the thing, which becomes your magic sauce, puts weight on your algorithm, right? So as you develop the algorithm, right, then you sort of advertise the algorithm to patients, right? Now understand that I think Leif's perspective that he shared is absolutely correct from a customer acquisition perspective, but from a revenue perspective, it would be generating new customers for the therapist, and additionally allowing those customers that therapists engage with to stay with them longer because of more fit, right? So that would be decreasing. That would be a much more attractive option for therapists. Fantastic work. So it's a little bit of kind of a two-piece. That my sort of thoughts on that. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kareem.
Awesome. Thanks, Kareem. Next up, we have Jason with a question.
Hi. So first off, thank you. Personally, the thing that stood out most to me was the idea of seeing the outcomes. I started therapy for like the third time in 2020. I don't know if anybody else started therapy in 2020, but I certainly did. The idea of measuring outcome, I hit that same point at like 7-ish. I was like, okay, I'm fine here. I can skip a week. And then the second week, I was a disaster. It was ridiculous. So I love the idea of being able to track outcomes. The fact that resonated with me made me hesitant about the idea of seeking out employers. But I think it's just a messaging thing. If I'm an employee and my employer is supporting a system that measures the efficacy of my training, then you would want to be really careful about how you explain that, because then I might think, am I going to not be supported if it's not working, or is my employer going to see how I'm doing? So that's just something to watch out for. That being said, I think that the message is fantastic. There's definitely a really good space for finding the right match for somebody, and then also proving that match is actually effective. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we will not share anything with the employee if that's the route we're going to go. Everything is confidential. And so it's a client, we assume that they don't want to be in therapy if they don't need to, right? So once they feel better and they can see they want to terminate with a therapist. So that's the assumption here.
That's some really interesting points, Jason, that you brought up, and thanks. It's always funny that, like, even though we would be like, obviously it'll be confidential, it's still a thing that, like, our emotional reaction has an impact on taking up something new. So thanks for pointing that out. Brian, we've got a question for you.
Hey, excellent presentation and excellent questions so far, you guys. Totally agree with what Jason said. I mean, it's something that I just naturally assumed the employer wouldn't get any data, but also we don't know where people's heads are at when they're entering therapy, and that can be a scary place for a lot of people. So I just think in any marketing material, Jason, great idea of just, hey, of course, none of this is shared with your employer. But then to Leif's point, to answer your question, or my thoughts on your question, I guess, would be the employers seem to me like the ones that I would go after the most. Just from an employer's standpoint, it's so hard to attract talent these days. And insurance is expensive. And a lot of the a lot of the insurance that smaller businesses or newer businesses can't afford isn't that attractive to people. And so this is a product that literally costs me nothing. It's essentially to serve it up to my employees. It's a link on my HR site, right? It seems like a no-brainer to me as an employer to offer this up, right? And I imagine as you go along building any sort of market or community, it's kind of, all right, I got to get my users, and then I got to get my suppliers, and my users and my suppliers and stuff like that. But no, I think it's a great idea. And from a, you know, the marketing of it is just going to be a matter of getting out, like it's going to be a lot of effort for the initial marketing of it, but I think from the actual sales standpoint, it's a pretty easy pitch for therapists and for the consumers as well. So anyway, I'm just rambling now. Thanks.
Thank you.
Great. And I think, Brian, that's a great point. I think like not just them offering it, but like the employers offering this but it shows the potential talent that this employer really cares about your mental health and is invested in it, which is a huge thing now that people understand what happens if next pandemic, insert really challenging life events here, happens. Like I know that I will need support. It's not kind of like an optional thing anymore. So I think just talking on from Brian's point that you're very well placed, Tram, at this time after these events to like have employers like actively engaging and actively marketing this to their talent and or their already existing team. So I think that's a really good point, Brian. Now we're gonna hear from Eric Zaki.
Hi, Tram. Thanks for this really cool presentation. It's an idea that I had never considered, so really cool. My question is there anything that you guys have planned to take into account that sometimes a therapist may not be the best fit for your system? And how are you going to gather information which will help you make that determination? Will you be getting information from the people who use your service, as in the users and the employers? I'm just worried that sometimes there might be a therapist who's not doing a good job, and I'd hate for your algorithm to start sending people or continue to send people to them. I don't know. I'm just worried about that there might be some kind of issue in the future. So any thoughts on that?
Yes, and so that's where, you know, I'm a psychologist, so I work with clients every day. I'm also a client, so it's important to me to know that you work with the right therapist and the therapist is competent to help you, because you can also do harm, and that's the last thing we want, right? So we're going to assess the therapist really thoroughly. We're going to use skills that others are not using, that has been proven to really be. We're going to use a scale to assess a therapist's therapeutic skills. That's the most important factor in facilitating change. So we can assess them, and that's going to be part of our algorithm. We're going to make sure that those scores are being used in the algorithm too. So we're going to make sure that the ones we actually match, the therapists we match with, are going to produce change for the client. And the ones that are doing less well, we're going to offer them different training, recommend different trainings for them so they can help. On the back end, I didn't talk about it today. On the back end, we're going to develop a network where we're going to provide supervision, training. They're going to seek out different consultation sessions with other therapists. We're going to help them assess their skill set so they can keep improving themselves while growing their practice, but they also grow as therapists as well. So we want to elevate the mental health field.
That's awesome. Thanks, Saki, for that question. And I know that they're doing that a lot, Tram, in like various different areas of like therapists in certain areas that treat certain conditions have that. And I know a lot of therapists go into clinics together to have that, you know, working relationship so that they can grow together. And I guess that with more virtual therapy coming up, that's a really great offering for a therapist. I can see how like that makes it clearer for me to understand how the tiered level membership level is an incentive for those therapists to go up to another tier to get that kind of clinic experience without being in a clinic. Yeah, I can see how that would bring a lot of value to therapists. So thanks for sharing that and enlightening me more on that side of things. We are going to hear another question from Katie. Lucky.
Thank you. So hearing the discussion about, you know, is it direct to consumer? Is it with employers? You know, I agree with Brian that employers, it's an easy sell for an employer, and it's a pretty easy sell, I think, for an individual too. I think that the thought that comes up in that is like, what's the catch, right? Like, it seems too good to be true that I can get free therapy.
So like to be matched, they have to pay for therapy. They're just going to get the match for free. I didn't clarify that.
Oh, okay. Got it. So the therapy's not free. The match is free.
Yep. Yep.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. That clears up a lot for me. I was very confused how that was going to work. So I think that obviously we need to come into your messaging, right? Like that, you know, hey, you can get a match for free. Can your match also include like validation against like a healthcare plan in the algorithm, right? Like, does this person accept my insurance coverage? Yeah. Okay, that's good. Because I think that would also be a really big help or sell to employers as well. So that way, like, they know that the people who they would refer to you folks to get matched would also be getting people that would be covered under their insurance. I guess my question is like, it sounds to me like you don't have a question around how are you going to get therapists to want to opt in. And I'm curious about that. Is that just because you have a network of therapists, or, you know, is that not a concern for you?
It is a concern for us, of course, because that's the first step, and we need therapists for clients to come. The therapists I've spoken with, they are very happy with their practice. People are seeking mental health services, and there's no issue for them to get referrals, but they want self-paying clients because insurance are not paying enough. So how do I get those people? That's what they want from us. And so that's a challenge I need to address and find a way to do that.
Got it.
We go the consumer route.
Oh, I see. So if you go the consumer route, it would be more the self-pay rather than insurance coverage.
That's what they're asking for them to be, you know, to sign up.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know if I have any other thoughts on that, but I think that my question would probably be, and this is just food for thought, like, could you ultimately explore both, right? Where there's an option for individuals, if they hear about it, that I could sign up on my own to get a match for free, while you maybe are targeting the like the more bang for your buck from marketing and for your marketing and sales efforts would be to the employers, where you could potentially get, you know, the 100, you know, possible clients.
And that some are doing that. Some brands are doing both. Yeah, it's worthwhile.
Awesome. And we can squeeze one more question in, and that will be Lay, because we're running out of time, but that's a good sign because we have lots of questions.
Tram, so from my understanding, this has got to be a state-based thing, right? Like, if you're a therapist, you're licensed to work in a specific state, right? So what's your plan there? Are you going to launch in your state only to test it out, or are you going to be more regional to kind of not to spread yourself thin across the country with different, you know, presumably laws and all sorts of compliance issues?
Yeah, we're going to start with the New York area, where I'm trained, but I also know a lot of therapists here. I'm a member of many different organizations, so we're going to have a few to sign up and test it out. We're going to have like 25 therapists, make sure they love it, and then expand to another 25 to another 25. So we keep them in our system. And we did test it out, improve this concept, and then get funding after that. We have to move fast because people are already out there. They've been doing this for 5-10 years.
Just the reason I asked that, I was wondering, is like, maybe there's some benefit to like having I don't know, like a logo and branding that's unique to the state, that's like Aboutcome NY, that kind of makes people like, they look at it and they're like, oh, this is not just some chain that's out of Minnesota or something like that. Like, this is a specific to my area. I will be more compelled to try it out and look into it. That, from a consumer standpoint, that's what I would feel about like these national looking things.
I like that, because that's how Maybelline, I used to work for L'Oreal. That's how Maybelline was very much New York style. And then they got sold to L'Oreal, and now they're everywhere in the world. So maybe that's one way to do that.
Thank you. That's my question.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Thanks, Leif. And yeah, you can always do like your little sub email thing, like aboutcome.nj, like aboutcome.nyc, you know, and then people can feel localized. Thanks for all the questions. If you still want to get in touch with Tram, or you have more follow-up or interesting things to share, Saki's going to repost her email address and contact information. And before we move on, I'm going to share my screen again, because we have the most important question of the day, which is, what can the 1 Million Cups community do for you, Tram?
You've done so much already within the last 45 minutes. I'm so inspired by you and your thoughts and ideas. And yeah, I'm so appreciative of your questions and your help. So I hope I can come back here and join you another time. So thank you for this.
Absolutely. Well, we are very efficient at being awesome. So we got it all done in our 45-minute period, which is great. And we would love, so maybe what the 1 Million Cups community can do for you is ask you back for a refill. We like to call them refill presentation, for you to share your progress, and you can hit us with another question and we can brainstorm collectively together, because that's what the 1 Million Cups community is for. And that's what we like to create in the Seattle 1 Million Cups. Thank you, Tram, so much for presenting. And now we're gonna, if you want to hang out, we're going to be going into some breakout rooms to connect in a smaller groups. And before that, I just wanted to let you know, if you found this exciting and you want to apply to present, we love to have you. We love seeing faces who give support, then we get to give to others, and then we get to give it back to them when they present. It's very easy to do. Just go to 1millioncups.com/Seattle and follow along. And also, if you do want to organize, we're always looking for new organizers. We love it, because that means when we lose organizers, it means they're on to do more of their own business stuff, and that makes us very excited. So losing them is just as good as gaining them. And if you want to come and help keep this community running, do let us know. Just email seattle@1millioncups.com. For all of those offerings, if any of those things excite you, or you just want to keep in contact, jump in the link tree and you'll find all of your links there that will achieve any of this, including even the replay of today. Next week, we have an espresso round. So that means if you turn up, it's about everybody sharing very quickly and elevator pitching essentially their business to us. And you get a very quick round of presenting and questions. And it's great to get to know other people in the community, know the faces that you see most weeks, and get to have a shot at sharing your own story in bite size. It's always good practice, as we know. We can never get too good at nailing the elevator pitch. So we're going to head into breakout rooms now. How this works is we will have it goes until 10, and you can stay a little bit after 10 if you are so excited to do that, if you're really having a really good jam, which does happen. Don't get me wrong. I've been here until 10:30 before at times, just chatting with people, because it's been so inspiring and interesting. But you can also, you have a free pass to leave whenever you need to. We are busy entrepreneurs after all, hopefully doing actual work, not busy work, which is totally acceptable as well. And just, I think, Zaki, have you made the breakout rooms for me? Great. Awesome. So we'll just open those up. You can jump in there, leave whenever you want to, and follow up with Tram if you have any following other questions. After that, enjoy your Wednesday and the rest of your week. I hope it's successful, and we'll see you next week, hopefully. Thanks so much, everybody.
Bye.